What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a great day so far. Got a very special guest with me, Victor Bermudez, executive producer for Miami Hurricanes football on 560 WQAM. Victor, how are you doing this afternoon today, sir?
I'm doing well, doing well. How are you? Pleasure being on, man. I appreciate the invite.
Always, man, always, especially local, Miami Hurricanes fanatics coming out of
Absolutely.
Hialeah, Florida. Got to represent, right, Victor?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Gotta love
Born
it.
and
Victor,
raised. Born and raised.
born and raised. Are you a T-bred?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
That's funny. That's funny. You know that. Not that many people actually mention Hialeah High and the T-bread. So
Gotta love it, man. Victor, let's
absolutely.
get into it, man. How did you become a Miami Hurricanes football fan?
I think I mean, for me personally, I was born and raised here. I think what I tell everyone, I think the Miami Hurricanes are the team. I love all the local sports teams, Marlins, Heat. Not a big fan of the Dolphins, but I understand the fandom. But I don't think there's a team in Miami that represents this city more than the Miami Hurricanes. Just the roster itself, a lot of South Florida talent. So it's just something that growing up I just gravitated towards. It just represents this community, this city more than any others I believe, and it's just something that I've always been a fan of, the Miami Hurricanes. Before I was a fan of any other sports team, it was Miami Hurricanes. You're when you're from down here from the 305, that's orange and green, and it's the U. That's what we're raised on. Before any other team, I mean, that's what I've raised my kids on, and so the Miami Hurricanes to me is dear to my heart. There's a reason why I'm still involved with the broadcast, and I still go back every year. Honestly, it's not a need for me because of my television work, thankfully, but it's just pride. It's the city. It's where I was born, where I was raised, and it's to me it is Miami, the Hurricanes. I know it's just the Miami Hurricanes, but it means much more than that to me. It's what this city is about, and I think the Hurricanes show that more than any other franchise in this community.
No doubt about it. I mean, the history of the University of Miami, nothing beat a day game or a night game in the Orange Bowl in Little Havana. I think everyone could agree with that. When that place was rocking, man, there was just something in the air, you know.
Absolutely.
Nothing beat that atmosphere. So I definitely feel the passion.
Manny Diaz says it best. You never wanted to play Miami, but when you knew you were coming to Miami and it was a night game, you almost just automatically felt like there's no way we're winning this game. And I think we saw that a little bit a couple years back, and when Notre Dame came to town, when Virginia Tech came to town, they were highly ranked, and we saw what Hard Rock Stadium could be like, and you had some of that feeling of the old OB, and I think they're going to be able to recreate that, and we saw it that year with those two games. So it's just different, man. Miami at night, it just hits different.
Victor, speaking of Manny Diaz, what were your thoughts about the 2020, Miami Hurricanes football season? What are, it was a roller coaster ride of a year. We started off great. We go into Death Valley. Hey, we get humbled is the way I'll put it. Then, we win the games we were supposed to win. UNC happens. Look, UNC, they took care of business, right? They put up a bunch of points. We had no answer for them. Defensive side of the football. Then lose to Oklahoma State. We're missing DAndre King, Jalen Phillips, Quincy Roche. So, what was your outlook overall of this Canes football team?
Obviously, it's not the way you wanted it to end, but I think there were some positives. I never expected to beat Clemson. I didn't think anybody would beat Clemson. I thought they would actually win the national championship. So I wasn't surprised by that. But yeah, you can't lose to North Carolina at home with everything that was on the table. So that was disappointing. And then the bowl game, just the way that it starts, it's a lot of obstacles to overcome. You still had somewhat of a chance. I don't want to say it was a disappointing season, but yeah, North Carolina was a disappointment. You can't lose in that fashion at home, especially. But they had some amazing tailbacks, and they have a quarterback that I think is probably going to be the best in the ACC come next season. So it is what it is. You shouldn't have lost that game, And I guess I don't know if it's they weren't prepared, but overall, bigger picture 2020, I thought it was okay. It didn't meet expectations because I anticipated more than where we ended up, but it could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we won a lot of football games we were supposed to win. There was a time, throughout the program, the University of Miami, past few years where you lose a game, it comes consecutively. You don't lose just one game.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
lose 3 in a row.
Absolutely. I would hit on that on the pregame all the time. It was you lost to FSU and then you were guaranteed to lose the next 2 in a row. There was I don't know how many years in a row we went with 3-game losing streaks, and and then you can't win off a bye week. I think he proved that last year that that's in the past, but we'll see. 2020, I think it was a step forward as opposed to what 2019 was and lost to FIU. But I think, I don't want to look back too much, but I think I have high hopes for 2021. I think anything short of an ACC championship appearance is a disappointment. And some have told me that I'm crazy, but maybe I am. I have high expectations for this team every year. So I don't anticipate anything less than an ACC championship game. I know that's a rough start, but I like the home schedule. I think that favors Miami, and I like the additions. And look, let's be honest, Miami's the offseason champs. I think Manny Diaz every offseason wins the offseason, and I think he's done that again. So there are some high expectations, and I think anything short of an ACC championship to me is bust, to be honest with you.
In fact, talking about those expectations, what positives have you seen from Coach Manny Diaz going into year 3? Because at the end of the day, this is his first destination as a head coaching job. And a lot of first-time head coaches, they have to learn from their mistakes. And I think he is learning. So what have you seen in a positive aspect Coach Manny Diaz has contributed as head coach at the University of Miami so far?
You said it. The fact that he's willing to make changes, the fact that he's willing to adapt, even with losses, even with the first year, which was a disaster.
Yeah.
The loss to FIU should have set you back years. And the fact that he can still put out these recruiting classes, the fact that he still has kids wanting to transfer to Miami, the fact that we haven't lost that luster, that he's way ahead of what Al Golden was. There was some Al Golden years that you were like, what is going on? And we were disgraced and people were laughing at us. I think Manny Diaz relates to the kids. He's never lost them. I think he's not afraid to make changes when needed, whether it be parting ways with an offensive coordinator, whether it be letting a defensive coordinator go, whether it be taking back the defense on numerous occasions like we've seen. I think there's a lot of – look, I'm high on Manny Diaz. I'll be the first to admit I like Manny. There's other guys that I've been ready to part ways with. Manny's just not there yet. I do think he goes into the season on the hot seat. I won't shy away from that. I think there's no wiggle room for some of the missteps that he's had the past 2 seasons. I think he's going to be judged and criticized highly, and if something occurs like what we've seen in the past 2 years, but I think he's in the right position and has made the right moves to have a successful 2021 year. And we start with, the defending national champions. That if you want to set the tone and prove your doubters wrong, I think that's September 4th in Atlanta. That's the day to do it.
Hey man, I'm not trying to pick at whoever made that schedule. Obviously, it was the athletic director, who else, part of University of Miami Athletics. But, man, I'm curious what was going through their thought process in putting Alabama game 1. What do you think Miami has to do, to compete and win that football game against Alabama? Because you really can't slip up. You can't.
I think – no, you can't. But honestly, I think if you're going to have to schedule Alabama on your upcoming schedule, I think game 1 is the game to do it.
Right.
They clearly have lost a lot of playmakers, a lot of experience on offense. I think for the first time in a really long time, I can't even remember the last time Miami was the older team. And I do think on September 4th, Miami will surprise a lot of folks. I don't think Miami outright wins the game, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do. And I know I sound like a homer, and it's the executive producer, and you guys are a bunch of homers. And I know with the broadcast, the criticisms, but Miami will be the older team. Yes, Alabama, I'm aware that they just had the best recruiting class in the history of recruiting classes. I understand it's 5 stars and 4 stars, but they're young. And Miami has a lot of veterans, a lot of older guys. So it's going to be a lot of freshmen and sophomores against a lot of juniors and seniors and, fifth-year seniors. So I like our chances. I don't know if we beat Alabama, because I'm not dismissing what Nick Saban means to college football, what Alabama has meant to college football the last 12 plus years. But I wouldn't be shocked if Miami can cover the spread, if Miami hangs tight, if going into the fourth quarter is a 1-score game. I think Miami has the tools because they're older and because it's just what's returning and then what Alabama has lost. You can't just, you're losing running backs, you're losing wide receivers, you're losing quarterbacks, and Miami has all that returning. So if there is a game that you want Alabama on your schedule, I think it's the first game of the season. And I think I'm not opposed to that scheduling. I prefer them week 1 than week 7 or 8 or what might be.
You heard it from Victor. He doesn't want a Notre Dame schedule where they throw seven. Bring him out.
I hate the look. I understand why you schedule the cupcakes to begin with. I get that, but Alabama is different. You don't want, and no pun intended, you don't want them rolling in week 5 or having faced already a couple SEC opponents and have that machine who isn't used to playing well together because they're all playing for the first time. You don't want them well-oiled and taking on Miami where they've already figured out their offensive playmakers and their offensive scheme. So I want to get them right in the beginning of the season where they're fresh, where they're trying to figure stuff out, where they have no tape on Miami and what we can do, and they don't know what they have in their hands. So I like the fact that we got them week 1.
Victor, speaking of players returning, heart and soul of this offense, man, DAndre King, obviously we all know he tore his ACL last game of the season. Do you know of any updates regarding DAndre King? I had Manny Navarro on my show a couple months back, and he said he should be ready to go. The expectation is in July. Have you heard the same thing?
Look, he should be ready, and that's what we're all hearing. But that's 2 years in a row that DAndre King doesn't have a spring practice or spring.
Sure.
I think the best bet is DAndre King week 1. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for Jake Garcia week 1 or Van Dyke at all. I want DAndre King to be that guy, but I think we need to have a solidified backup in this spring, and I think we're about to find out who that number 2 guy is, because if he's not ready, then you may have a freshman in Garcia, or you may have Van Dyke going up against the Crimson Tide, and that does not bode well for Miami. I hope he's ready. All expectations are that he will be ready for September 4th, but who knows? It's all, on how he recovers from that gruesome injury.
No, yeah, absolutely, man. And, hey, timing is everything. It just happened. Wrong place, wrong time. Last game of the season, man. It's tough, especially for a veteran player like DAndre King, because he could have, just graduated today. I'm done with college football with his age.
And everything he's been through, like that man – you speak to him, and he's such a humble guy, such a well-mannered man, and the things he's faced and gone through in life at such a young age, your heart breaks for him because he is a really good guy, a really good dude.
Victor, we touched up on the quarterback position. We got a lot of underclassmen. Tyler Van Dyke, Peyton Matoka, Jake Garcia going at it. What else are you looking forward to this spring practice from the Miami Hurricanes football team?
I love the offensive line. I think for the first time in a really long time, we had some depth at the offensive line position. We have a ton of starting experience. I'm excited to see what they can do, how they can protect the quarterback, how they can create holes for the running back position. I think we need a lot from the running backs. I think last year we started off great. We ended up decent, but I think there were some gaps in between. I'm looking at the wide receivers. I need to see more out of those wide receivers. Popes, Higgins, Hart, these guys need to step up. They made some huge plays last year. Don't get me wrong, but there was a ton of drops too for my liking. I'm looking at them. I want to see what they provide. That connection between the quarterback and the wide receivers. I love, like I mentioned, the offensive line, but I'm tired of the wide receiver play. We need to see some playmakers. We need to see them secure the ball, hold on to those balls, make DAndre King look like the quarterback we all expected to see out of Houston. We saw some flashes of that last year. We just need some consistency at the wide receiver position, and we have some additions that. Another thing I'm looking forward to seeing is not these positions given by committee because you've been here for a long time. If you're getting outbeat and you're getting outplayed, then look, last year, the moment Manny Diaz said open competition at practice, these guys started to put on. They put on a show. They started scoring touchdowns. But we need to see some more consistency from that wide receiver position, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing most, at least from the offensive side.
Victor, I think a wide receiver position is just catching the football because you put their skill set in the ACC Coastal. It's not the strongest division in college football. There's rarely anyone in the secondary that can match up with Mark Pope, D. Wiggins, and their skill set, Mike Harley. So I think after Mike Harley, who's going to step up, who's going to be that number 2 wide receiver, and I think that's why we brought in Charleston Rambo from Oklahoma, someone I'm very excited about, someone you can put on the outside, potentially a deep ball threat as well. So if Mark Pope, D. Wiggins, if they can just rebound from this past season, from that bowl game where, they really weren't helping out N'Kosi Perry a lot, I think potentially this could be a very good wide receiver rotation because the talent is there. It's just putting the pieces together.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one touchdown for Harley in 3 years is just unacceptable. Not with the stars that you have aligned to your name coming out of high school. So, yeah, and look, it's I don't want to say embarrassing. I don't want to knock any of them. But when you have transfers coming from Buffalo, from other schools, and they're leading the team in receptions and yardage, like that's just a bad look on Miami and on their recruiting. So I have high expectations for that wide receiver group because it's time. It's, you've had the amount of time under you. You have the games. There's a ton of experience there, but it's time to put up. And I'm hoping with what we've mentioned, being older, the maturity, I think that's going to come into play. And I really, really like, again, I understand. I know what we're going to be labeled, the homers, the broadcast, and yeah, you guys, but I have huge expectations for Miami this season. And I'll be honest, I don't always go into the season thinking the same thing. I didn't think that last year. I didn't think that Diaz's first year. I didn't think that Mark Richt's first year. But I think I have a strong feeling that this year Miami has something special on their hands.
Hey, I really hope so, Victor. It's been a long time coming, I feel like. We got to take easier in 2017. So the schedule itself, it does play into favor with Miami. There's only really 2 big-time key matchups. You always have that Florida State game. But North Carolina, Alabama are really the strongest opponents on this schedule. So, it is a favorable schedule towards Miami. But, Victor, I'll tell you what. I think if Miami is going to excel this upcoming season, there's got to be one underclassman or a couple to step up. Maybe an Xavier Restrepo, Romello Brinson, another true freshman coming in. What underclassmen or freshmen have you heard about in practice, or are you excited about seeing in pads this spring?
I'm really look, obviously we're all excited about the safety coming in. We're all excited about Leonard Taylor. I think the defensive line, I think our run defense was atrocious. Over 170 yards per game, almost 5 yards per carry that you were giving up. I think that's my concern. Defensive line is a huge concern of mine. Run defense specifically. I think Leonard Taylor needs to hit the field. And again, if these guys are ready to make plays, I don't care if they're freshmen. I don't care if they're true freshmen or redshirt freshmen. I want to see these guys play. I need to see them make plays and get on the field because I'm tired of the same old. And it's just linebacker's another position I'm worried about. I need to see some guys step up there. And it's just let them make plays, man. Get these guys on the field if they're ready to participate. And let's not wait till week 6 like we did with Gregory Rousseau. And I understand why that occurred. The maturity level wasn't there. The complaints that my back still hurts. I get all that. But these guys coming in, they seem like they're ready to play. They seem like they're ready to make big time plays for Miami. And if they are, and they prove that in spring, then so be it. Then they earn the starting spot, and I'm okay with that.
Hey, Victor, this is something we've seen at Miami. We haven't seen this in a while. We've seen a lot of offseason changes regarding the transfer portal, but coaching staff changes as well. What do you think about, the new members of this coaching staff, Coach T-Rob, Coach Shoop, Coach Aristide, and how much of an impact they're going to make on this staff? Because their resume, it's very impressive. Travaris Robinson, local guy, Coral Park Senior High School. Aristide, I think he lived in Miami for a little bit, did a great job at Texas A&M. And Coach Shoop, he's been all over the SEC, Broyles Award finalist as well. So very interesting group of, new coaches on the staff.
You mentioned it. Coming out of Texas A&M last year, the number 9 ranked defense in the country, that's a huge help, especially with, losing who we lost and Manny Diaz saying, I'm going to take over that defense. I like the fact that we brought in SEC guys. I know us ACC guys and Atlantic Coastal Conference, we don't like the Gators. We don't like Alabama, but we got to be honest. They're running college football. Right. So the fact that we're bringing in SEC guys, and I love the fact that T-Rob, Coral Park, as you mentioned, 39 years old, can relate to these guys. I think that is a huge plus. Then you got Shoop, who a 2-time Broyles Award winner, stops at Penn State, Michigan. Like that is valuable to this Miami Hurricanes team. The fact that you bring that type of experience. So going back to how we started, I love the fact that Manny Diaz looks at himself in the mirror and is not afraid to make these changes and is not afraid to bring people in to help him and that share that same philosophy and are trying to set on that same mindset of defense that he's on. And the experience, like I said, that's invaluable. You can't just find that on any corner. And the fact that he's bringing those guys over to Miami speaks volumes to Manny Diaz.
Victor, we are a long way from the season starting. A very long way, but I feel like before you know it, it'll be here. Time does fly.
Yeah.
What is your way too early outlook for the 2021 Miami Hurricanes football team?
One loss.
One loss. Okay.
One loss, undefeated at home. I've been saying that for months now. I've been called stupid. I've been called irrational. Joe Rose has gotten on me for it. I don't see a loss on this schedule outside of Alabama. And again, I think we play Alabama tight. I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's a 1-score game going into the 4th. And if they can pull off the upset, I think that sets the tone. I am way too early, over-promising, homer hat on, one loss, undefeated at home, ACC Championship, and then who knows from there.
Love it, man. One loss Miami Hurricanes and win a bowl game. That's something we haven't done at Miami in quite a while. It was, finish out the season strong, compete in the ACC title game. The hell with it, man. It's been since we've never done it. We've never done it. It's mind-boggling to me. It really is.
But going back, and we said that, the fact that you're getting older, I recall being at Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina, and seeing the Clemson Tigers come down that sideline, looking to intimidate Miami. And there are these big boys running down the sideline. I'm 6'1", 216, and these guys are towering over me. And I'm looking at them, there's no way we could beat this team because they are just that much older than we are, much more experienced. And I think Miami has that this year. For the first time in a long time, we'll be the oldest team in the ACC. North Carolina has lost their wide receivers, their running backs. I love their quarterback, but again, so much experience has been lost in the ACC, and Miami has not lost that. Miami remains with that on their roster. So if you're asking for my opinion, and in March, I know the season doesn't start till September, but I don't see a loss on this schedule, especially with the home games. And if there is that one loss, it would be at Alabama, and you just say, you just give them that win because they're the defending champions and they have Nick Saban. It's like lining up against, Bill Belichick in the NFL. You're always going to give him the benefit of the doubt because just his resume deserves that. But outside of that, there's no one on that schedule that scares me. North Carolina, who should scare you. We've been over who they've lost. FSU does not frighten me at all. I think they're living. I've said this to my crew all the time. I think they're going through their golden years. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 5-6 game winning streak for Miami over Florida State, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I'm down on FSU. I think they're in a whole heap of trouble, and I just don't see anybody else. Virginia, you should worry about Virginia. Virginia Tech is always strong as well, but I just don't think they can compare to Miami this year with the depth that Miami provides, and again, the maturity and the age.
Victor, my last question of the night for you. Why is Manny Diaz the right guy at the University of Miami?
I'm not ready to say he is. I think the season will prove if he is or he's not. I'm a big Manny Diaz fan. I enjoy speaking to him. I enjoy interviewing him. But I think if you say he's the right guy, he says all the right things. He's done all the right things. But if this season doesn't go right, then why should I say he is the right hire? Right. I love when he was hired. I understand why he was hired. I love the bravado. I love the swagger. I love the way he communicates with the guys. I think he has their attention. I think he gets the most out of them. But there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of concerns. I think he either proves them, the naysayers, wrong this year, or then the question marks remain, and who knows where we go from here. But I'm high on him. I like him personally. I love what he does for this team. But I think the jury's, yet to be determined. I think this season we'll find out whether he is the right guy for the long haul and for a long time at Miami. I think he's exactly where he wants to be. I don't think Manny Diaz is looking to go elsewhere or build his brand anywhere else. Being a Miami guy and having growing up and rooting for the Miami Hurricanes, I think he's exactly where he belongs, where he wants to be. But this season will tell us a lot. We'll find out a lot about Manny Diaz this year because Rhett Lashley's there. He made that move. That seems to be working. Made the move on the defensive side, has taken back that defense. So now it's time to put up. That's it. All the questions remain, and it's either you shut them up and you prove to the community and the city that you are that guy, or I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, very well said. Victor Bermudez, executive producer, 560 WQAM. Victor, I hope to have a conversation about the Miami Hurricanes winning the ACC title game, playing for the college football playoffs at Molina's in Hialeah with you.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Good. Open invitation. You let me know when you're coming to Hialeah, and we'll set that up, my man.
All right, man. Hey, I'll be there less than a month, so I'll hold you to it, Victor. Okay. All right, Victor. Thank you so much for your time, man. Have a great rest of your night.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
All right.